King Solomon, one of the most renowned figures in the Bible, was the son of King David and ruled around 970 BCE. He is remembered for a famous judgment involving two women who claimed to be the mother of the same baby. He proposed to split the child in two, prompting a reaction that revealed the true mother, who chose to relinquish her claim to save the baby's life. Surrounded by divine wisdom, unparalleled wealth, and grand achievements, Solomon is celebrated as the ruler who led Israel with justice, constructed the legendary Temple of Jerusalem, and made decisions so wise that his fame reached distant kingdoms. However, there is a darker side to his story, one that delves beyond the Bible and into the realm of forbidden grimoires, the summoning of 72 demons, and a direct confrontation with Asmodeus, the king of demons. What truly happened to Solomon? How did the wisest man in history find himself entangled in a narrative that blurs the lines between the sacred and the profane? This is not a tale you'll find in traditional texts, but a mystery hidden in the margins of history and forgotten manuscripts. If you're fascinated by enigmas, join us on this epic journey where faith, power, and supernatural forces collide. But before we dive into this intriguing world, remember to subscribe to the B-Side of the Bible channel, where we uncover the hidden mysteries of Scripture like never before. Stay tuned until the end of this video, because the conclusion to Solomon's story will forever change the way you view his connection to hidden powers. Solomon was young when he ascended to the throne of Israel, a prosperous yet challenging kingdom. When God appeared to him in a dream, offering anything he desired, Solomon asked not for wealth or the death of his enemies, but for wisdom to govern with justice. This request impressed God, who not only granted him unparalleled wisdom, but also great wealth and honor. Solomon quickly became the most famous king of his time, admired for his intelligence and ability to resolve the most complex disputes. Yet, while the Bible celebrates his wisdom, other stories emerge in the margins of sacred texts. Many began to question whether the king had access to sources of power beyond God. How did he acquire such extraordinary skills to lead, build, and solve seemingly unsolvable problems? The answer may lie in accounts of a book bearing his name. In a world where magic was both feared and revered, the Lesser Key of Solomon, or Goetia, emerged as one of the most controversial spiritual manuscripts. This grimoire, attributed to King Solomon, describes detailed rituals for summoning and commanding 72 demons, each with unique abilities governing distinct aspects of the supernatural world. The text contains prayers, magical seals, and enigmatic symbols, promising practitioners extraordinary powers, such as revealing hidden secrets, acquiring wealth, and influencing others. The association of Solomon's name with such a dangerous and mysterious book raises questions. Was he truly its author, or was his name used to legitimize esoteric knowledge created centuries later? The 72 demons are described as high-ranking spiritual entities, which Solomon is said to have summoned and imprisoned in a bronze vessel. Sealed with sacred symbols, the vessel ensured the spirits remained enslaved to Solomon. Breaking it would release the demons, freeing them from their obligation to obey the king. The grimoire not only teaches how to summon these entities, but also how to subdue them through sacred elements like the names of God and protective symbols. This blend of power and peril creates a complex duality, merging light and darkness. According to apocryphal legends, Solomon used these demons to accomplish monumental tasks, including building the Temple of Jerusalem, commanding them through the authority of a sacred ring engraved with God's name. Despite its impact, the true authorship of the grimoire remains a mystery. Some scholars argue it was written during the medieval period when occultism thrived, with Solomon's name symbolizing spiritual authority. Others, however, suggest that ancient traditions linking the king to profound knowledge of the supernatural make it plausible he interacted with these spiritual beings. These accounts highlight Solomon's duality as a ruler, known both for his divine wisdom and his alleged exploration of hidden forces. The Temple of Jerusalem was more than an architectural marvel. It symbolized the ultimate covenant between God and the people of Israel. Building a temple worthy of housing the Ark of the Covenant was Solomon's most significant mission. However, divine law prohibited the use of iron tools in construction, as they represented war and violence. How then could stones be shaped for such a grand structure? Every detail of the project was meticulously planned, adhering to sacred guidelines. Yet the prohibition of iron tools posed an insurmountable challenge, even for Solomon's unparalleled wisdom. The solution came in the form of the shamir, a legendary creature capable of cutting stones without human tools. The shamir, according to the Talmud, had been used by Moses to engrave the names of the tribes on the ephod stones, and Solomon needed this creature to complete the temple. But the shamir was elusive, and only spirits or demons knew its location. Thus began Solomon's quest for answers, a journey that led him to engage with forces few dared to confront. Determined to find the shamir, Solomon used a sacred ring, a divine artifact engraved with God's name, granting him authority over spirits and demons. Tradition holds that the ring was a divine gift, capable of subjugating even the most dangerous entities. Under the cover of night, Solomon performed the ritual in a consecrated space, away from prying eyes. Reciting sacred words and prayers invoking God's power, Solomon used the ring as a conduit to command spiritual forces. Slowly, the atmosphere thickened, and shadows began to stir. Suddenly, two figures appeared, a male and a female demon. Though lesser entities, their presence filled the air with an intense, unsettling energy. Bound by the ring's power, the demons were interrogated relentlessly. Solomon demanded they reveal the shamir's location, but their answers disappointed him. They confessed ignorance, but mentioned the name of a higher entity, Asmodeus, the king of demons. Asmodeus was renowned for his cunning, power, and ability to manipulate those who underestimated him. His influence was devastating, and many feared even to utter his name. Solomon recognized that capturing Asmodeus would be a monumental task, but also saw it as a test of his strength and devotion. Resolute in his mission, Solomon began to strategize carefully. This was no ordinary foe, but a leader of legions, a master tactician. Solomon assembled Israel's greatest warriors, including Benaiah, a man celebrated for his bravery and unwavering loyalty. Under Solomon's direction, special chains were forged, engraved with God's sacred names. These chains, imbued with divine power, were said to be inescapable for any spiritual being. Benaiah was tasked with waiting for the perfect moment to capture Asmodeus. The mission required not only strength, but also shrewdness, as the demon was infamous for his manipulation. The trap was set in motion. Solomon and his allies knew they were confronting something beyond human comprehension. The success or failure of this endeavor would not only determine the temple's fate, but also shape the king's legacy. Focused and with his heart aligned to his divine mission, Solomon was prepared to risk everything, even his own soul, to fulfill God's will. The capture of Asmodeus and the ensuing confrontation were not merely about power and control, but also the limits of ambition and the consequences of seeking forbidden knowledge. For a time, Solomon believed he had control over Asmodeus. He obtained the information he needed and used the shamir to complete the temple's construction. But the king of demons had other plans. Using cunning and exploiting Solomon's curiosity, Asmodeus deceived him and took his place on Israel's throne. Dethroned, Solomon was cast into exile. Stripped of wealth and power, he wandered as an ordinary man, grappling with the harsh realities of life without the privileges he once knew. Each passing day confronted him with the uncertainty of food, the cold of unprotected nights, and the wary gazes of those who failed to recognize him. This period of humiliation forced him to reconnect with his roots, revealing the fragility of the human condition, a perspective obscured by his former power. As Solomon wandered through villages and deserts, he had ample time for reflection. His mind constantly revisited the moments when pride and the desire for control had blinded him. Each memory brought pain, but also profound lessons. It was during these lonely nights, with no one but his thoughts for company, that he began to pen what would later be known as the Book of Ecclesiastes. His words, filled with regret and humility, spoke of the vanity of all things and the futile pursuit of power and glory. He acknowledged that all his grandeur was but vapor, dissipating with the slightest breeze. While Asmodeus ruled Israel with cruelty, subjecting the people to a regime of oppression and fear, Solomon underwent a deep internal journey of transformation. He now understood that his true value lay not in wealth, magnificent constructions, or the hidden knowledge he had sought, but in the simplicity of faith and the justice with which he should have governed. Each lesson learned during his exile refined him, purging him of misguided ambitions. After many months of suffering and learning, Solomon found the strength to fight again. He sought out his old allies, those who still believed in him, and with a renewed spirit, began planning his return. Recovering his sacred ring, the symbol of his divine connection, became his top priority. This ring was not only a source of power, but also a reminder that his authority came from something far greater than himself. Solomon knew that to defeat Asmodeus and reclaim the throne, he would need more than strength. He would need the faith rediscovered during his time of trial. With the help of these allies, Solomon re-entered Jerusalem. There, he found a people divided between the fear imposed by Asmodeus and the hope of seeing their true king return. The tension was palpable, and the atmosphere heavy with expectation. In a decisive confrontation, Solomon exposed Asmodeus, revealing the impostor's true identity to the people. With the sacred ring recovered, he commanded the spiritual forces that banished the king of demons, freeing Israel from his malevolent influence. The man who returned to power was not the same one who had once been crowned king of Israel. Solomon now understood the dangers of unchecked ambition and an insatiable desire for control. He knew his mission was not merely to rule, but to serve as an example of humility and obedience to divine will. The lessons of exile had made him wiser than any grimoire could, and he used this wisdom to lead Israel with justice, always mindful of the boundaries that should never be crossed. Solomon, the man who began as a symbol of divine wisdom, also became an example of how even the wisest can be seduced by the unknown, but how redemption is possible through a return to the fundamental principles of faith and humility. If you enjoyed what you've seen here and want to support us in bringing more intriguing stories and deep reflections, subscribe now to the B side of the Bible channel. Your subscription makes all the difference and motivates us to continue this work. I'm counting on you. And of course, leave your opinion in the comments.